We are going to be going very deep into energetics on this podcast, but I wanted to start off with a really simple yet profound way to either reaffirm what you're already believing, seeing, feeling, knowing in regards to energy, or support you in getting a better grasp of just how the energetic realm works and how it's so interconnected to everything that you're doing each day and why, even though you can't see it, it's one of the most important things you can start to be aware of.
Welcome to the Kara Michelle Show, where we break out of the matrix together and return heaven to earth. This is a place for the spiritual seekers and leaders, the dreamers and doers, the conscious creators and world changers. You can expect a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but mostly a whole lot of purpose, freedom, and sovereignty. And of course, all things quantum. May this podcast serve you in remembering the truth of who you are, all that you came here to do, and how deeply supported you are in doing it. You are incredibly powerful and your mission is protected. So it's time to dial up your frequency and recalibrate to your higher self and limitless potential. Get ready, because we're about to blast off. A new reality awaits you on the other side. I'll see you there.
Welcome back to a very short and sweet and powerful look at the world of energy. And this was kind of a little light bulb as I get often. It's just these little pings, these little messages, and things that are reaffirmed or feel like they're explained in new ways. And I like to think of myself as a queen of simplicity. So I want to bridge more complicated topics and condense them or reiterate them in ways that are really easy to understand so that you can actually apply it or feel it and move forward. And so, what I find often working with clients, especially those who are maybe at the beginning stages of their journey, energy is a really hard thing to understand because we can't quantify it unless we are literally studying it. And it's really hard to gauge or measure something that you cannot physically see. So when we look at actions in the physical world, it's very easy to see that, okay, if I do a action every single day, if I'm doing this specific action, then I'm building. My cause and effect is very easy to witness. I see myself doing the action, I see the progress either immediately in that day or over the course of a week, a month, a year, and we can measure that. We can go, wow, look at what I did, right? Whereas energetically speaking, that can be harder to understand and it can be harder to then work with and use it in really powerful ways that are going to actually help you create those quantum leaps and get to your outcome way, way faster. Because one of the biggest things I see in this hustle culture world is that most of us, and myself included for many years, we are prioritizing the physical action only and thinking that if we just work harder, push harder, hustle more, force it, then we're going to get there faster. And that's simply not the case. In fact, if you do get there through that process, you may have already experienced how then you actually lose it very quickly because the mental, emotional, energetic alignment wasn't catching up to speed. And so you force something in the physical that you weren't actually ready to ground in, or that you weren't energetically aligned to, that you didn't believe you were worthy of. And so you end up sabotaging, or you end up having it fall away, and you end up more confused and probably very tired because of how much effort you exerted to get there. So, if we're going to focus specifically on the energetic alignment and creating a really foundational framework for you to build upon and to focus on each day, I want to use the example of the boat on the lake. And this is something you can come back to. Hopefully, that's easy and memorable. The boat on the lake. The boat on the lake. Just keep reminding yourself of this whenever you find yourself getting pulled into the force and hustle, or you find yourself in fear, overwhelm, stress, overthinking, in that kind of negative mental plane, and you're wanting to relax and bring some more ease and alignment in through the energetic world. So, the boat on the lake. What is this? The other day, I was sitting up on a little ledge. I'm out in lake country. It's so beautiful here. And it was a really quiet night. I was sitting there at the picnic table with my laptop, doing a little bit of work and overlooking the lake. So the water was so calm, not a cloud in the sky. It was so peaceful. And then this one boat started to drive across the lake in front of me. And you're going to say, this isn't very exciting. To me, it is, okay? My life is not very exciting. So, this was a pretty cool thing because as I was watching the boat, this just makes me look even more simple, but that's okay. As I was watching the boat, my mind was picking up on all these other things and this concept of energy and what isn't seen, but how it's actually no different than the physical motion of a boat on the lake. So, when you see a boat move across the lake, obviously it creates these waves and these ripples that come out after it. And so the boat's charging ahead and then leaving behind it the waves. And these waves, if they're not interrupted, will continue to push out to, the ends of the lake. And so the boat went past, and then the waves were slowly coming towards the shoreline where I was sitting. And I was just there observing the after effects of the physical force. Or we could say I'm observing the after effects of the 3D reality, right? An action was taken, aka the boat was driving, and the effect of that action was that it was moving the water behind it, and the water was coming to the shore, right? Now, how we can use this concept to finally understand the energetic impact you have each day is to realize that this is truly no different than what's going on energetically behind you. So, every single action that you take, say you are reaching for a cup and filling it with water, you're seeing the physical action of that motion, but there's also energetic waves that are going out behind you or around you. So think of yourself now driving to work or just driving on the freeway somewhere, very similar to a boat on the highway, and there's waves moving behind it. You are also creating these energetic waves and these energetic ripples with every single thing that you do. But the difference with energy is that it isn't solely confined to the physical world. And so it's not only your physical actions that are creating energetic waves, the thing that you say to someone or the action that you do or don't take creates an energetic ripple. It's not only the physical, it's also the mental and the emotional. So the thought that you are thinking every single morning about how you're not good enough or how stressful your day is going to be, that is sending out an energetic wave. That's an energetic frequency. There's a ripple behind that thought, just like a wave behind the boat. Okay? And every emotion that you have also has an energetic ripple or an energetic wave. So when you feel yourself getting anxious or tense or stressed out, there is an energetic ripple that's leaving, we can say, leaving your physical body and sending out into the space around you. like the water and the waves diffusing across the lake. So that whole room, as you're starting to feel anxious or stressed, you are pushing those waves of that emotion, of that anxiety and stress out into the room, just like the waves go until they hit the shore. So imagine, and I'm giving negative examples, I'm going to give positive examples in a moment. But unfortunately, we tend to relate easily to the negatives, and that is just where I defaulted. But think of your impact in a room now when you go to work, or you walk into the grocery store, or you're doing a big presentation, or you're pitching something huge for your business. And if you go into that space feeling negative or heavy or lower vibrational emotions, or thinking negative, anxious, defeating thoughts, that is waving out of your body, rippling out of your energy body. This is why we can sometimes feel things that are off from other people, or we can pick up on their emotions without them saying anything, because energy speaks louder than words. Energy is such a very loud frequency for those of us who are tuned into it. And so I want to take the flip side quickly before wrapping up this little episode here, of imagine that you walk into the place, but you're feeling so good and you're feeling so confident or so empowered, and you're sending those waves of energy out and about. Or maybe you're feeling so full of love. This is my favorite thing to do when I'm out for a walk, is like really tune into my inner child and just my deep love for nature, for Mother Earth. And I get into the most high vibe state. I'm like dancing and walking around and laughing at things that probably aren't funny, but to me they are. And I'm just in this state of overflowing love and joy. And that is sending waves of energy out around me. So, although we cannot see them as easily as we could see the waves behind a boat on the lake, it is still there. It is still sending out, and it is still something that can then be felt by people in the future. It is something that can help transmute or diffuse negative energies that have been there in the past. There's so much power to understanding the energetic waves that you're leaving behind every single moment of every single day. And so, this is why I think, as light workers and those of us who are truly here on a mission to make the world better in whatever way that looks like to each of you, it really is our greatest responsibility, or one of our greatest responsibilities, to be aware of the energy that we're in and what we're sending out. And to really start to pay attention to, am I sending out something that's leaving places better and uplifting the energy? Or am I sending out waves that are pulling people down or making things more chaotic and stressful? I think we all know a person who lives a very chaotic, dramatic life. And it's like they're just sending these waves of chaos everywhere they go. Or we know a person who is always complaining, and that negative Nancy who just finds something wrong with everything. And that's very draining to be around. It's not very enjoyable because of the waves that they're sending out into any single room. And so, the more you become conscious of your own impact and what you're sending out, probably you'll also become more conscious of what the people around you are sending out. And therefore, you can really start to use your discernment around what environments you want to spend time in and what people you want to surround yourself with. It can become very lonely and isolating at times on the ascension journey, as we start to vibrationally disconnect from people and places where we once were a match and we're no longer. And I lost a lot of friends actually lost is probably the wrong word because there wasn't really a loss involved. It actually was a benefit and brought more freedom. But in terms of a separation or a disconnect, there was a disconnect between a lot of friends every single time I took a new path or I followed my heart or I up leveled into a new version of myself. Because unless that person was on a similar path and a similar journey and going along, the same way, our waves were no longer matching. We were no longer the vibrational frequency match. The dissonance became louder and louder. And yet, it was probably the best thing that could have happened for me because had I stayed there, it would have continued to pull me down by their energy waves, by their negative Nancy, by their heavy emotions or impact that wasn't actually positive. So the next time you're in an environment or you're around someone and you start to notice that it's actually leaving you feeling worse, think of a boat on the lake. Speaking of which, one is driving by right now as I say that, so it could not be more perfect timing to wrap up this episode and leave you with the name one more time. Just like I'm trying to just ingrain it in you. The boat on the lake, the boat on the lake. And realize that every single person in your life is a boat on the lake. Let's get really philosophical here. Every single person around you is a boat on the lake. Are they leaving good waves or bad waves? Big waves, small waves? And what about you? Because you're a boat on the lake too. And so, what are you sending out? What are you leaving behind? And is it actually supporting you in all that you're here to create? Okay. Now, seeing that this is how that energetic impact is happening every day, you can really become more cognizant of how energy works. And this is going to play into so many more of the podcast episodes where I'm going to get into much deeper levels of quantum work and reality creation and manifestation and aligning your energetic frequency with what you desire and stepping into that new reality. But if you have zero concept of energy in general, we got to start here. And so remember the boat on the lake and pay attention to the energy you're not only picking up, but you're giving off each day. And I will see you on the next episode for more.